Hi everybody, Buzzsaw Gaming here sharing my Game Boy Advance collection with my buddy right there, Mr. Buzzsaw, and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, playing on the Game Boy Advance. Now the one I have is the SP-101, I believe it's called. It says, oh, there he goes. It's the more portable version of the Game Boy Advance, and also has a brighter screen. So I think that's the one I went with. Now my history with Game Boy Advance, as far as portable gaming in general, I should say, I wasn't really a big fan. I didn't really do a lot of portable handheld gaming. That is to say, except for two exceptions. This is one of them. Game Boy Advance, because you can have so many great games from the original Nintendo and from Super Nintendo era, so it was wonderful to have a pocket Super Nintendo, pocket original Nintendo, just in your pocket, in your hand, and the graphics were 1-to-1, I would say, with those original systems. So it took Nintendo, a decade and a half to get to that point, and it's just an amazing system. I really like it. As far as portable systems, it's this system and also my TurboGrafx Express, which plays the actual games from the TurboGrafx 16 library. Those are my two favorite. So I really enjoy these two systems because of their library, because of their compact ability, and just really neat. Now Game Boy Advance has a massive library, I think 1,000 games or more. They have a lot of unique titles along with ports from original Nintendo and Super Nintendo. To be honest, I mostly went with the ports from the original Nintendo and Super Nintendo that I was comfortable with. But also I got a couple others, as I'll show you in a bit here. As far as the accessories, all 15 games. Oh, by the way, this is also a top 15 for the Game Boy Advance. So my top 15 games and also my collection video. My entire collection fits inside this. So it's a small carrying case, Game Boy Advance SP carrying case, camo colored. It all fits in just perfectly. And this is just, not too much bigger than the size of your hand. You can put it in any bag, any backpack, or wherever in your car, if you're traveling. So it's super easy to take and basically have, the best of the best games with you from the 8-bit and 16-bit generation, Nintendo-wise with you. So it's absolutely wonderful. All the games fit in. I mean, they're so small. Look at how tiny they are. It's like little baby games. I also have a pair of headphones. These are just iPhone headphones with that original jack as well. And this is just for just to listen to the system itself when you're on an airplane or car and not annoy the people around you. So I keep that as well inside there. And in order to use a headphone, you need this unusual dongle right here, which was, I'm not sure why they went that direction, but it is what it is. This you plug into the back of the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, and the other end provides a basically the receptacle for the headphone jack, I should say. And that's how it works. So that way you're able to play your Nintendo Advance that way. As far as my games, you can take a look right here. I have 15 games. I mean, most of them are just, oh, and here's the power brick as well. It's relatively compact, and that also fits inside the carry bag quite easily, so no problem there. I'll start with the games here. At the very bottom right here, I'll get a little bit closer, is Metroid Fusion. Now this is a really cool game. It's unique to the Game Boy. It's a really nice Metroid game. It's a lot of fun. It kind of has a lot of that Super Metroid vibe. So I had to get it, of course. Now one thing, I'm not sure why they never ported Super Metroid to the Game Boy Advance. I mean, if they would have, I would have gotten it. So that's an amazing game and one of my favorite games of all times. But they never did, but we got Metroid Fusion. And I think there's another Metroid as well. I just don't have that one. I have Metroid Fusion. Metroid Fusion is a totally new game. There's another one called Metroid, oh boy, I don't remember, Zero or something like that, but it's a reskin of the original NES Metroid. So I went with the newer game as opposed to a reskin of the original, since I like the original the way it is. There's Wario Land 4, of course, a platformer with Wario, one of my favorite characters. Just a lot of fun, just silliness, kind of like a Mario type game, but with Wario. So lots of fun there. Right here, Super Mario Brothers 3. Now they did have a weird way of naming their Super Mario games. They call them, you know, Advance 4 and 3 and 2 and things like that. And I don't know, I'm glad they had the original name on here so I know what game it is. But Super Mario Brothers 3 from the original Nintendo. Awesome game. And portably too. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Now this is not the original game. It's not the same as the one you would play, let's say, on PlayStation. It's a downsized version of the game, but it plays really well too, I would say. It's a really good attempt at the game, and it's really fun to see this little tiny skateboard and this, you know, Tony Hawk bouncing around on the skateboard, doing tricks and all that. Metal Slug. Now this is an all-time Neo Geo classic. It's a really nice port, I would say, on the Game Boy Advance. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, Metal Slug is like, you know, Contra on steroids, so it's you know, it's just too much fun, basically. Shooting down everything, you know, all kinds of weird things going on, and it's very cartoony and just a lot of fun. Up there, Super Street Fighter 2, just another version of Street Fighter, the original. It's just so much fun to have those old classic games, you know, from the Super Nintendo era on to the Game Boy Advance. So that's another great game right there. It's a really nice port, lots of fun to play. The original Castlevania. Now that's from the original Nintendo. They had this classic NES series, and that's one of them from there. The original Castlevania was a lot of fun. So that's that one there. And from that classic NES series, you have Super Mario Brothers. So this is the original game from the original, you know, Super Nintendo. I mean, original Nintendo, not Super Nintendo. And a lot of fun. You know, it's the same game. Great time. Metroid, also from the classic NES series. Now this game, I mean, I played so much growing up, the original Metroid. And I even knew how many bombs were required. I had it written down in paper, like how many bombs you had to kill Mother Brain. So I remember that. And here it's great to have it just in a small little, you know, form right here, and, you know, play it on the Nintendo Game Boy Advance right there. So absolutely great. I love this Metroid game. So much fun. Mario Kart Super Circuit is basically a port of the Super Nintendo Mario Kart game. You know, lots of fun as well. Nothing to complain about. Wonderful game. And down here, Doom. You knew I had to have a copy of Doom as well. So it's a really good port, I would say, of the original Doom. No complaints at all. It's fun to just put in there and just play through a few levels. You know, have some Doom action on your handheld. Can't complain. You know, is it the most technically advanced version of Doom? No, obviously not, but it's still a wonderful game. I had a great time with it, and it's fun to just have it just in an easy way to play and an easy format. So it's absolutely wonderful. Oh, also I should mention, yeah, I think I did already, but A Link to the Past, Zelda, is playing on the Game Boy Advance. I mean, one of my favorite games of all time. It's just an absolutely wonderful game, and to have it portably, and it looks really good on the screen too. It just looks really nice, really sharp. They did a wonderful job porting this over to the Game Boy Advance. It looks, you know, looks and sound just like the original. If you were to pull out your Super Nintendo and plug it into your CRT. So another great game for the Game Boy Advance. Next, I have the original Zelda, you know, an all-time classic as well, you know, 1-to-1 I would say with the original. So just absolutely wonderful. You know, no complaints. It's just a fantastic game, a 1-to-1 port. And there's Zelda 2 Link. So actually I like the Link more than the original Zelda. I know it's not the most common thing, but I played it so much growing up. You know, I beat the shadow boss guy at the end. I mean, I did everything with no help whatsoever. So it's a wonderful game, and to have it, you know, portably, it's a dream. It's a dream. It's absolutely wonderful. That's what makes this and the TurboGrafx Express, you know, my two favorite portable systems. And there at the top, it's Super Mario World. Now another Super Nintendo port over to the Game Boy Advance. It's a wonderful version. It's a 1-to-1 port. It's really good as well. I have absolutely no complaints. So as you can see, this library, it's quite small. I mean, it's not large at all. It's just the 15 games. You know, nothing special. But it's, you know, 15 games that I grew up with, 15 games that I like. You know, 15 games that, you know, if I ever were to go somewhere, I don't know, go on a trip for a month or a long period of time, this is more than enough to keep me busy with all these classics from back in the day. And, you know, and a couple of new ones too, like this, you know, Wario Land 4, which is fun. That's a, you know, a newer game. You know, Metroid Fusion, that's a newer game as well. You know, or the funness of Metal Slug, you know, Neo Geo. I didn't play a lot growing up, so it's nice to have that in a portable version. And Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, even though it's not a 1-to-1 port, it's a fun version as well. It's just amazing how they're able to cram it into this small system. And it's so tiny, and it's just the best form factor. It's absolutely wonderful. And the battery life is good too. You charge it up and it just runs and runs and runs. So anyways, everybody, that's the Game Boy Advance SP 101 with the brighter screen. Please like and subscribe. Any comments would be great. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future of some great retro goodness. Thank you so much.